morning, everyone. I hope you all had a good long weekend if you're in North America like me. I actually did have a good weekend. It was a quiet weekend. We barbecued and we just had a nice quiet time here and we saw a movie and that was really nice. And anyway, so today is Casing Tuesday, and that's the day when we take a card out of the catalog and we give it a makeover. And we have a team of bloggers that works with us, and we have lots of people that are joining in with us now. So even if you are a customer or a demonstrator and you want to join our group where we give cards and makeovers every week. You are welcome to join, and that information is down below in the description of the video. And you can click over to the group. It's called Casing Tuesday, and you can ask to join, and then you can share your cards with us too, or you can lurk if you want to. But every week we have a specific card that we copy, and so it's kind of neat to see all the different versions of the cards that people come up with. So this week we have a card. It actually starts off kind of as a Christmas card. Let me show you it. So here's the card. This card is kind of long and skinny, so it's not our traditional size, but I made it in traditional measurements because I tend to work with like half sheets of cardstock. So if you follow the measurements on my blog, which there's a link to that down below, you'll find the measurements that I did. But here is the sketch, and actually we also made the sketch for you so you could make it in that kind of measurement, in the correct measurements for a Stampin' Up! Size card. Now you can always fudge the measurements a little bit, like I made my layer that goes across. Let me close this up. I made the layer that goes across a little wider because I'm doing a shaker card and I needed the extra width. So you can play with the measurements a little bit, but we try and kind of keep similar to the card. I changed out the stamp set, and so it's just fun to play with it and see what you come up with. Good morning, everyone. So glad you're here. I am going to switch over to my other camera and I'm going to show you how I made my card today, different from the card that we are copying. So let's switch over. Okay, I actually did two versions, so I'll show you both of them. This is the one that I posted on my blog right here, and I'm using the plaid tidings paper. And I actually used from the Everything Essential, I used this Joy to the World stamp, and then from the Lots to Celebrate, I used the jar stamp and the lid stamp. So that is kind of stamped in the background of this shaker dome. And I'm going to show you how to do that, so it's like pretty easy. And then I added some snowflake sequins in there to kind of shake around. Very simple card. So I also did it in blues and using, oh, I forget the name of the paper. Let me grab it. I didn't put it on my supply list. So this one's called Snowflake Splendor Designer Series paper. It's got the beautiful blues in it if you want to do kind of a blue card. So this one's just a little bit different, and I used the mesh ribbon. I have to say that I really love this mesh ribbon. I used this ribbon last week on a Halloween project, and it looked really Halloweeny, and now I've used it on this project and it looks like just like iridescent and lovely. Definitely this ribbon can be used for many different holidays, even birthdays and anniversaries. I love it. It's so subtle, and it's not bulky, surprisingly, even though it is a super wide ribbon, usually wider than we normally put on cards, but I really like it. Yeah, so those are the two cards that I made, and I'm going to show you how to make another one with the plaid tidings paper, and this time I'm using a different color paper, so let's see how that turns out when I choose a different color of paper. Okay, so I told you about these two stamp sets, and then also I'm using the jar punch and these little jar shaker domes. You'll need one of those if you want to make the card. Let's pop these aside. First of all, we're going to create the background. So inside here, I've got this little piece that's stamped, and it's nice to stamp it on a separate piece because then you can position it really easily behind there. So let's create the shaker piece that we need first. So I've got my stamps and I have 2 colors of ink pads. This little whisper white piece measures 2 inches by 2 3/4 of an inch. It's just about the perfect size to fit behind here with a little wiggle room, so you can kind of twist it and move it as needed to match up with your image. So we'll start off with smoky slate ink and just ink it up and center it as closely as possible to the center of your piece. And then we'll take the gray again, the smoky slate, and I'm going to hover this over top of the lid, centering it. So it just kind of looks like the lid is closed. Then I'll take this little tree from Everything Essential. Now, if you wanted to, if you didn't want to get the extra stamp set, you could take this snowflake right here, these snowflakes, and also just stamp them in the jar. That would look kind of cute too. I don't know why, I just wanted a tree in there for some reason, so that's why I took this other stamp and I added it to there. So, you know, you can play around with it and see what you want to stamp in there. Now this tree, I'm not stamping all the way to the bottom. I'm leaving about 1/8 of an inch. And you'll see right now, after I stamp it, the tree just goes outside of the jar lines just a little bit, but that doesn't really matter because we're going to cover it up with the jar dome, so you're not going to see that tree. It's not the way it works. You're not going to really see all of that. Okay, so that is all the stamping that I do. Let me show you how to put the little jar together. So you'll need the jar domes, and then I've got some snowflake sequins here in a little container. I won't open these up until I'm ready because they have a little bit of a static to them, so you know you don't want them flying around. One thing I noticed with my card after I put it together, this is the first time I'm making a shaker card with these guys. I noticed some of my sequins are stuck up at the top on this one. And there's actually some kind of stuck on the bottom of this one. That's because these little guys have a little bit of adhesive. Well, they have adhesive on both sides of this edge here, okay? So what I was thinking that might help this, we don't sell this anymore, but this is called an embossing buddy. You can still get this online in different places. This is a product that we use when we're embossing, that we use to wipe down our cardstock, and then we stamp with Versamark, and then it keeps the stray flecks of embossing powder from sticking to your cardstock. So I thought I would try this today and see how this worked. So first of all, I'm going to just rub along the edges here where my adhesive is. So this is a peel and stick thing. So in a moment, I'm going to actually open this up and it's going to be exposed. But right now it's not exposed yet. But I'm just going to kind of rub the edges and maybe the inside a little bit to help with some of that static cling. Okay, so I'm going to do that first, and then I'm going to carefully open this. This is the tricky part, okay? So I've got my little piece, and I'm just going to take just a little bit of the sequins here, and I'm going to put them right in the center of my piece, okay? Careful not to have them on the outside. Now I'm going to peel off this back piece, and when I do this, this is the piece that comes off. I am just going to kind of rub the edges. Try not to get it on the top, like on all of the adhesives, but just right along the edge, just to see if I can keep that area from being super sticky. Okay. All right. And then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to hover this over top of my jar, making sure I'm centering it as best as possible. And when that looks good, I'm going to press down on there. And I'm going to press down along the edge before I move the sequins. And let's see if that helps with sticking to the edges. It doesn't bother me too much, but I know there's some people, I won't name any of you, who might be perfectionists, who might find that irritating. So let's see if that helps with my, okay. I think it might have, because it doesn't look like they are sticking. At least now when I flick it, they move. So good. So I think that method works. So this is called an embossing buddy. It's a cloth piece that has like some powder inside of it. It just kind of will coat some of that adhesive. All right. So now let's create the rest of the card. And I'm going to need a piece of cherry cobbler. And this piece measures 4 1/4 by 3 inches. And what I want to do for this piece, this is actually a centering ruler, but you can use a regular ruler as well. On the short side, just make yourself a little mark 1.5 inches in, or if you have a centering ruler, just find the center of that side. And I sometimes use a white pencil crayon, or you would call this a colored pencil if you're in the US, because sometimes a regular pencil is too dark and you can barely see it. The reason I want this is because I need to kind of center my jar punch on this piece. So I find it easier to hold the cardstock when I'm punching to the far right with my left hand. If you're left-handed, you might do this the opposite direction. But what I'm going to do is I want to have this jar punch over close to this side, but I need it centered from top to bottom. And on the punch right here, you're going to notice this line right here. And I've found that to be a line that's kind of a centering line for me. So now I just will look over on my pencil mark over here on the side. And if I line that up with here, my jar punch should be pretty centered. And then I'm going to retract it just a little bit so the cardstock is almost flush with this piece. And then when it looks good, I'm going to go ahead and punch it. All right. So we're going to actually use the jar is going to be on the other side. So I'm just going to flip this over, okay? And then this is going to come onto here. But before I do that, I want to add some ribbon coming up and around here. And I'm using the braided linen trim. What I did for this, since I was making 2 cards, I cut a piece. This is what this looks like. And I love this braided linen trim. But what I don't love about it is it's a little too bulky once I tie it. So I like to use about half or a third of the ribbon. So what I do is I come around here, decide how much I want, and then I cut it. Okay, so I have this piece, and then I pull out as many strands as I need. So for this one, I pulled out 4 strands of this ribbon, and it has 9 strands in total. So this piece that I got left over with has 5 strands in it. And so it's a little less bulky now, and it's easier to tie. It doesn't look as bulky afterwards. So I'm just going to come around here and tie this through the hole. And grab some locking tweezers right here. Just push this down, lock it in place, and then I'm going to come around here. No, I have to figure out, okay, I want these pieces to come up and around and down. up just a little bit. And then I'm going to take my paper snips, my ribbon cutting scissors, and then I can spread these out a little bit. The strands, make them look a little bit rustic. Okay. All right, and then I'm going to, oh shoot, you know what I forgot to do? Okay, I have to untie this because when I was doing my supply list this morning, I forgot one thing. I need to emboss this piece. Okay, I'm gonna bring my embossing machine over. That's what I forgot to do. And I will tell you in a second what embossing folder this is because I did not make it onto my supply list. And I was wondering, I was sure, very, very sure I was missing something, but I went back over to my workspace and I couldn't figure it out. Let me tell you what embossing folder this is. I'll grab my catalog real quick, because you will not find that on my supply list this morning. It is not there at all. It is called the Wrapped in Texture embossing folders. There's 2 of them, and this is one of the 2. So I'll just slip that inside here, and I'm just going to run it through real quick. That helps a lot with the texture. It gives it just a little bit of an oomph. Let me put this down out of the way. Okay, now we're going to retie this piece. Okay, we have less to work with this time, but I will make it work. Okay, I'm gonna clamp again, and I'm trying to, when I'm tying this, I have to make sure that they're going in the right directions, because you know that when you tie a knot like this, you can either have the ends go this direction or you can have them go the same direction as your ribbon, depending on how you do that second knot. So that's what I was trying to decide, which way it would end up based on how I was tying it. Okay, now I'm going to spread these ends. There we go. That looks better. Okay, because I have to have this ribbon tied before I add this piece, and I also need that piece embossed. Now for this side, we don't need to worry about the embossing buddy because it's not going to make a difference. Let's make sure everything is tucked under here and it's not going to show. Okay, perfect. And I'm going to peel off this top adhesive. So easy. And then I'm just going to take this and, oh, don't stick it yet. It's best if you stand up and you kind of come down and just feed it through. Okay, so now this piece is ready to adhere onto my card. So let's get the card base. This base is 11 inches by 4 1/4 and scored in half at 5 1/2. And then I have a piece of plaid tidings paper, which is 3 3/4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. So on the back side of here, I'm going to make a banner out of this piece. So if you have a centering ruler, you can center one of the short sides, and you're going to, it's going to be at the 1 7/8 inch mark. So you can either measure over 1 7/8, or you can use your centering ruler to find the center part of that. And I'm using a little white pencil, colored pencil, to create my centering line so I can see it. And then I'm going to measure 1/2 inch up. So that is that dot right there. And then you can use that to draw some lines for yourself so that you know where to cut. So basically this is a dot that is centered 1/2 inch up, and then you draw lines to the corners. And then you use your paper snips and you just cut along that line. And with this plaid, if you didn't make a centering mark, it would be really hard to eyeball because the plaid is very distracting if you don't have it centered. So there is the little plaid banner bottom. And then we're going to take some Tombow. I think I'm actually going to maybe like this paper better. So I'm just going to add this paper to the front, centered and all the way to the top. Okay, and then we're going to add this over here. Okay, and then just add that right there. Now, I think we could also like play a little bit and add like a couple more things to here. Like, I don't know. I didn't add any additional embellishments, but let's go into my embellishment drawer and see what we've got. We've got some gold embellishments. I've got these gold dots. I don't know. I'm looking to see what else I've got because afterwards I'm like, this is like a little, it needs like a little bit more of an oomph. Let me see what else I've got. I think I'm going to, what do you think? Should I use the gilded gems? They're like really bright and sparkly. Or use some of these ones here. I don't know. Let's try some of these ones since I have them out. Let me grab take your pick tool and let me, are you going to move on me? You guys are stuck on there. Okay. Let's see. Put the dot there. And maybe I'm going to move it a little bit. A dot here. And then maybe this dot. Come on. I need to get them moved a little bit because they're a little stuck to the paper. And then once I've got them moving, all right, what do you think? Adding some little dots might make it look a little bit fancier. I don't know on this one. Yeah, let's add some dots on this one just because. Let's see if it does the same sort of effect on this one. I have to move them though because they're stuck to the paper. Let's see. Before I stick it down, you know what? I also have some of these like kind of white dots here. Here we go. Let's try some of these ones. Come on. All right. And one of these. All right. So yeah, I'm just experimenting. I don't know on this one. You know what? On this one, I might use, I'm Got to use some of the blue adhesive back gems. Okay. We're keeping on playing around. Let's do this. Okay. I'm trying to decide. Do I want to go really kind of shimmery or just kind of, let's kind of go lighter. Okay, come here. I'm going to stick some of you guys down onto here. I guess this just has two sizes, so I'll use one of the bigger ones. Come on up and stick you down there. All right. So now that we've got all of my embellishments out, it's kind of fun just to add a few little embellishments on there. Let me move those over. All right, guys, what do you think? I think it looks better once I add a little shimmery embellishments on there. I think it was missing a little something. Last night I was designing this card and I was getting a little tired, so I just didn't have the energy to figure it all out. So let's have a look at my shaker card, this one that I rubbed, and let's see if we have any sequins that are sticking. Nope, they're all able to, oh, yep, they're all able to move. Even sometimes they do get stuck, but if I give them a flick, they move away from the corner. So that's a good little tip to rub that inside, and that will keep these guys moving freer. Whereas these guys, I got a few stuck down here at the bottom, which I won't be able to get out unless I do surgery. And I got a few stuck up here to the top. Now, these cards are still absolutely fine, because they still have elements that are moving around and shaking. So it's not going to detract too much from the card. But if you're a perfectionist, then you might want to do that little trick so that you can keep them from sticking. All right, guys, I'm going to come over and read your comments. Let's see. Okay. Good morning, everyone. Oh, it's Amy. Amy's one of my team members, and she says it's our first day of kindergarten this morning. Oh, well, good luck today. I hope it all goes well. Fingers crossed that you can all stay safe. And I have a couple other team members on here this morning. Hello, Janine and Dee. So glad to see you here. I have Karen and Connie on here as well. Thank you for joining me. And I know there's other people joining as well. I can only see you if you post a comment during my live. So if I don't yell out your name and you're there, I'm sorry. I'm blind to who's in at my live, but I welcome you just as much. Okay. So Dee's trying to decide which one is her favorite. Blue is her favorite color. It's mine too. Blue is definitely my favorite color. I love plaid too. So you know what? I found the one thing with the blue card, I thought it was a little busy, but now in the morning, I don't find it as busy. Last night, I must have been in a weird mood. And, but now that the little sparklies are on there, I like it a little better. And Dee also said a great idea to use the embossing buddy. Yeah, we always end up with some sequins stuck in the side. So hopefully that will remedy the problem. And also, I think the embossing buddy keeps that little jar from being super staticky. So you know how sometimes they kind of just stick to the sides a little bit because it's so staticky in there. I think that also helps with that. So, okay. I'm glad you like my little gems. I think it just added a little something to it. All right. And good morning, Erica. So glad you're here this morning. I wanted to remind everyone that we have a September starter kit special. And if you're interested, there's a few additional add-ons. This month we have 2 extra stamp sets that you'll get, a package of rhinestone gems, and a 16-piece card kit. So that's a really fun addition. And when you get the starter kit, you also join my team. And I have some team members here today, and I just love them. And we have a special Facebook group. And Janine's getting ready to take signups for our swap that's happening this month. We're going to do a mini catalog swap. So it's kind of a fun thing to belong to the team because we have a great little group of ladies that we all stamp together. Okay, and let's see. Um, the supplies for the shaker cards are on my blog, so if you pop on over there, you will be able to find those. I did not remember to put the embossing folder on there, so that is one thing that you won't find there, but everything else, all the other supplies I talked about are there. And don't forget to join us for our Casing Tuesday challenge. And the link is down below, so you can click and join. And if you're already a member, you can go over there this morning and check out what everyone's posted. And I'm going to get my card posted soon because I haven't posted it yet today. All right, guys, I hope you have a great week. And I do have a Friday project for you. And so make sure if you're not already subscribed to my YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe to it. I'll be coming to you at 10 a.m. on Friday with a new 3D project. All right, guys, have a great week. See you later.